I should have been the one to die instead of Sarah. Because I never meant to hurt her. You know, and as a mom, you're supposed to protect your kids. You're not supposed to hurt.
The first couple times I visited her out there, we really weren't able to have a conversation because she was so distraught. I just would sit there, and she basically would just weep the whole time. And so I sat there and cried with her. That's all you could do, you know.
She worked very hard with me as we, later as things progressed and went on, working on how did I get here? How did I get to that point? She had lost her father, and that was such a significant loss for her. And actually that night that the accident happened, there were pictures and things laid out where she was revisiting that grief and the loss of her father, which always followed her. But yeah, grief and remorse just always there, and never remorse for her, how could this happen to me, but how could I do this? How could I rip apart my family? How could my choices? And she was very, very motivated in figuring out how it got to this point, how she made that decision.
She just kept thinking about Sarah. She kept thinking about, you know, what had happened and how her kids were, and, you know, the other person at that time, we didn't know, you know, the other victim's name, but she was just, you know, she was in shock. She just couldn't believe that this had happened, and, you know, that she was the reason that this had happened. It was really tearing her up.
She knew that I knew Renee, and she asked me every time I talked to her, how's Renee doing? Is she going to be okay? There was no reason to say anything about it to me, but she really and truly wanted to know how Renee was. Is there anything I can do to help her? And I talked to Renee, of course, at the butcher shop, and she said she truly felt that Suzanne was very sorry for what had happened, and she was very interested. And it didn't stop after the first few times. I mean, she would ask me that on a regular basis. How is she doing? Has she had the surgery? Is she going to be okay? And Renee would tell you right now that she knows Suzanne was sorry, and I do too.
I feel like my injuries really at this point are insignificant. I just believe that she's been in there long enough. Her sentence was too harsh, and she's a very good person inside and out. I feel that she's paid her dues.
She's so grief-stricken about Sarah and about Renee and Casey and Kristen, and it's just, I mean, and it's honest, it's not put on. She's not, I never have had the feeling in talking with her and visiting with her that she's sad or she's upset because she's in prison and because she's facing the years that she is. I've always felt that she's, what she has said, she's come across to me as she's sad and she's upset that she did this and that it had these devastating results. You know, she's not worried about herself. She's not concerned about herself. She's worried about her kids. She's worried about, you know, what's happening to them and how they're having to cope without her, because it's been really hard. I can imagine that, you know, here you've got your mom one day and then she's gone the next, and, you know. Certainly, yeah. She had a very close relationship, has a very close relationship with them. Very loving, very affectionate. You can tell that they tell her everything, you know, and of course over the years they've become teenagers, but she still has a very close relationship with them. And it's really amazing the things that she knows, because I had teenagers, and I think she knows more about her teenagers than I did about mine. But they do have a very close relationship, very loving.
They still need their mother, and and she's a good mother. And to have her be gone for their entire childhood and much of their adult life, you know, was not only negative impact on Suzanne, but on the children, because they need their mother.
Going to school, everybody got to complain about how my mom sucks, my mom does this. Well, I couldn't even be with my mom. I mean, she was taken away from me. She couldn't be there when I graduated high school, when I graduated middle school, when I needed help with homework. I mean, I had to do all that stuff on my own. I mean, if I was feeling down, I could always talk to her. I mean, I had to wait until she called, and like sometimes, like if my dad wouldn't like maybe sometimes like let me talk to her because he'd get pissed off at her, like hang up the phone.
We leave at 6:30 in the morning, drive over. It takes approximately, time we get there and park and get in, it takes about 2 hours to get there. And they live round trip 20 miles. So if you leave here, it's 167 miles round trip. If you leave from there, it's obviously 20 miles more than that each way. So it takes 2 hours. Usually it takes about 30 minutes to get in. You wait in line about 30 to 45 minutes. You get in, which got her down there about 9:30, and then we would usually stay. If they wanted to, we'd stay to 3, which is when they send you out.
I've been going to see my mom ever since she got in jail, actually. Like ever since I first put her in there, we went down there, and it was every single weekend. And then my parents got divorced, and then Miss Mary Carol took us every single weekend. And then when I was about maybe 13, me and my brother started or probably earlier than that, like maybe 11. Whenever me and my brother started not getting along, I'd go every other weekend. But he'd go one weekend, I'd go the next, he'd go, and then I'd go. And then that way we could have our alone time.
I remember one time she was hugging on Suzanne. I said, and the officer said, "Come on, sweetie, you have to leave." She said, "I don't want to leave." And she said, "I want to stay." And so the officer said, "Sweetie, you don't want to stay here." And she looked at her as defiant. I thought, oh my soul. She said, "You don't want to stay." "Yes, I do." I said, "Kristen, we got to go." And Suzanne kissed her and told her she had. But that's the way they've always been with her. Anybody who thinks there's anything but love between Suzanne and her children hasn't ever been there with them. Hasn't ever been there with them.
She is my best friend. I can talk to her about anything. I mean, I can't say that with other people. I'm not afraid to. I don't feel like, even if she disagrees, I mean, she supports me and like whatever I do, and she'll like try and like give me the best advice and guidance. But I love her to death, and I just want to make her proud. I mean, I want to do my best. So
They never, ever once, when it was time to go to visit, would say, "I don't want to go." I never had them in 10 years say, "I don't want to go." They were always, they have to get up in the morning. I pick them up at 6:30 and we go. That means they get up early. Come and they don't get home until 3:30 or 4. So it means everything to them.
I want to be home with my kids. I want to be a mom kid. Because ever since I was a little kid, that's what I wanted to do in life. You know, my parents always raised us to be professionals. You got to go to college, you get this and that. You know, all I ever wanted to be was a mom. I mean, I went to college and all, but if you ever asked me what I wanted to be a mom.
I just hope I get the chance for her to be there for when I graduate college, whether it be undergrad or graduate, or say if I get a doctorate degree. I want to be there for that. I want her to be there for my sister's high school graduation.